Hello, it's Lee again. Today I'm going to talk about the Dutch language. Yesterday I put out a video about German and Dutch and comparing how similar they are in certain ways, how certain words have become a point of confusion for me in Dutch because there are certain words in Dutch that sound similar to other German words that don't necessarily have the same meaning. But in other cases, they sound almost the same and have the exact same meaning. But for the English part, I've picked out some words that both sound similar and sometimes are spelled similarly and have similar meanings. So let's start first with three simple words. The first one is it. It. It in Dutch becomes het. Het. But the H sound is often diminished, so it becomes ut. Ut. Next is the. The or the in English becomes de. De in Dutch. And then next we have a or an in English becomes un. Un. Now, let's attach both de and un to nouns. So if you want to say the apple, you would say de appel. De appel. And apple in Dutch is spelled A-P-P-E-L. So the spelling is similar, and the sound is similar. And if you read it out, you can probably, if you've never heard of the word before, you could probably at least guess it. And you may be right. Or you can say an apple, an apple, an apple. Next is milk. Milk becomes melk. Melk. So you can say de melk, or I don't know if you'd say unmelk. You can't really say that in English, but perhaps in Dutch. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. And water. The W sound will sound more like a V sound, and that is water. Water. And the R is a little bit rolled, so water, water. And they're both spelled exactly the same in both languages. Now let's look at a couple of verbs. In my German video, I mentioned the verb sein. Sein means to be. And in the third person singular form, it becomes is. Is. So you can say things like, het is een appel. It is an apple. Or het is de melk. It is the milk. Or het is water. It is water. So even with these few words that I've mentioned already, you can create simple sentences. Here's a verb that sounds quite similar to the English, and it also sounds quite German as well, as English, Dutch, and German are all Germanic languages. So, this word means to work, and most verbs in Dutch have an N or EN sound at the end of it, and that forms the infinitive of the verb, or the base form of the verb. So, to work is werken, werken. So, I could say something like, Ik werk vandaag. I work today. Or je werkt vandaag. You work today. We werken vandaag. We work today. Okay? Next is do. To do is simply doen. Doen. The sound is a little bit strange to me. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I tried to mimic it the best way I can based on the audio clips that I've listened to. So, doen, it's D-O-E-N. Doen. So, if you conjugate that with the I form, you could say ik doe. Ik doe. Or we doen. Or we moeten het doen. We must do it. Which brings me to the word must, or to have to. In English, we never say to must. That's weird. So the actual verb that we would translate it to would be to have to do, or to have to. So that becomes moeten in Dutch. So ik moet, we moeten, je moet, and so on. So je moet het doen. Je moet het doen. You have to do it. Now I'm going to introduce some words that are based on French, that are both common in English and Dutch. And these are 4 different words that there are probably many more words that are related to this, but I've picked out 4 different words that end in A-T-I-O-N, or Ation in English. And that becomes zie in Dutch. So, for example, operation becomes operatie. Or inspiration becomes inspiratie. And situation becomes situatie. And lastly, combination becomes combinatie. So this is really convenient as an English speaker because you can find all kinds of words in English and transform them into Dutch. I'm not certain if all Dutch words follow the same transformation rule. If all of them are a bit similar, there are probably ones that are not completely the same, or they don't. It probably doesn't translate as directly as the words that I've given do. But I just thought that was rather interesting that you could take words that you already know in English and transform them into Dutch words. So those are just some really basic things that I found that are similar to English in the Dutch language, and there's probably more that I'll discover eventually. And maybe once I get better at Dutch, I'll start putting up more videos in Dutch. Probably the first sort of video to come out that will be completely in Dutch will be a self-introduction. So I hope to be on that fairly soon, within the next month or so. So I'll leave it at that, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. So like, comment, and subscribe below. And please, to my Dutch friends, let me know how I'm doing. And give me any suggestions. I would greatly appreciate it. Alright, thank you everybody.